Alright, so the first thing we're going to look at today is evaluating trig functions with a calculator. So you're going to want to get out your calculator. I've got mine right here. So, okay. When we're evaluating a trig function on our calculator, one of the biggest things we have to pay attention to is what mode the calculator is in. The calculator could be in either degrees or it could be in radians. This is really one of two times where you're going to care about this. A lot of other times, if you're typing stuff into your calculator and it's an angle and you're just converting it from degrees to radians to degrees, it doesn't matter what mode you're in. It only matters if you are actually typing a trig function into the calculator, or what we're going to see in a minute, an inverse trig function also. So I have to pay attention to what do I see. So for this first problem here, I see sine of 23 degrees. So what does that tell me? That tells me that I need to be in degrees. So I'm going to go to my mode, and I'm going to check. I can see I'm already in degrees, but I could be in radians also. So I'm in degrees. That's great. So to type in sine of 23 degrees, I literally type in sine 23. You can close the parenthesis if you want, hit enter, and we get 0.391. So the sine of 23 degrees is 0.391. Cotangent of 2. How are we going to do that? Well, alright, we have to think a little bit about this. Okay, so first, 2, that's radians. How do I know it's radians? Because there's no degree symbol. And remember we talked about the other day, if we don't see a degree symbol, then then it is implied that that is radians. Unless we're told otherwise, we're going to assume it's radians. Now the challenge though is if I look at my calculator, I see a sine button, I see a cosine button, and I see a tangent button. I don't see a cotangent button though. Now I do see this tangent to the negative first, cosine to the negative first, and sine to the negative first, and my instinct might be, oh, wait a minute, cotangent is probably tangent to the negative first. Good thought, but that is not correct. Tangent to the negative first is actually inverse tangent, or another way to say it with trig functions is arctangent. Same with this is inverse cosine or arc cosine, and this is inverse sine or arc sine. They are not the reciprocals. But with what I just said, that tells us how we're going to actually type this into the calculator, because remember, cotangent and tangent are reciprocals. We learned that the other day when we were doing our right triangle trig. And so what I know is that the cotangent of theta is going to equal 1 over the tangent of theta. That's my generic relationship, and again, that should make sense, because I know that cotangent of theta is adjacent over opposite, and tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent, right? So these are reciprocals of each other. The reciprocal, to find the reciprocal of something, we can do 1 divided by that thing. So that's how I come up with this relationship. So if I want to type in cotangent of 2 into my calculator, I'm not going to type in cotangent of 2. I'm going to type in 1 divided by tangent of 2, because these have to be the same thing. Now, the other thing is, again, I need to change my mode into radians. So I'm going to go change that to radians. And I'm going to type in 1 divided by tangent of 2. Again, close the parenthesis if you want. And we get negative 0.458. So now I want you to try and type in secant of 219 degrees and cosine of 100. My hint for the secant is you're going to have to do something similar to what I did up here. Pause the video, try to type those in, unpause when you're ready to check. Alright, so for secant of 219 degrees, I needed to change my mode back to degrees, and I need to recognize the relationship between secant and cosine, as those are reciprocals. And again, we saw that yesterday, or the other day, with the right triangle trig. So I know secant of theta is 1 over the cosine of theta. Therefore, secant of 219 degrees is going to be the same as 1 over the cosine of 219 degrees. So this is what I actually typed into my calculator. And I end up with negative 1.287. Then over here, I need to have my mode in radians again. So just because it's 100, that seems really big. Maybe it's a degree. It's not because there's no degree symbol, so I have to assume it's radians. So I change my mode to radians. I type in cosine 100, and I get 0.862. Okay, that's evaluating trig functions on the calculator.